Powered by the Montana Television Network. This is the 530 News on Q2, Montana's news leader.
Good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining us. I'm Jeanelle. Slade. Jay is off tonight. A Butte couple facing felony charges for allegedly caging their son. Now, the disturbing allegations revealed in a Butte courtroom today, including confinement and sealing the 12-year-old's mouth with tape. MTN's John Amy was at the Butte Silver County Courthouse today as the man and woman were charged.
A 47-year-old man and a 45-year-old woman were charged with felony counts of criminal endangerment and assault on a minor here in Justice Court. Disturbing details from Butte police say that the couple put the child in the bathtub and handcuffed him to a milk crate and even put duct tape over the child's mouth to prevent him from eating. According to police, they did this to punish the child because he was taking food from the kitchen. Police added that other children in the house have been put in foster care while the parents remain in jail on $125,000 bond. Back to you.
All right, authorities have asked we not release the name of the couple to protect the identity of the victim in this case. Police do tell us the victim is in foster care and in good health. Well, President Trump plans to land in Montana this week to campaign against Montana's Democratic U.S. Senator Jon Tester and to promote Tester's Republican opponent, Matt Rosendale. But Montana's senior senator hasn't wasted any time going after Rosendale, with a pair of attack ads hitting the airwaves shortly after Rosendale won the June 5th primary. MTN's chief political reporter Mike Dennison did some fact-checking on these ads and filed this report.
Meet Maryland Matt Rosendale, a millionaire real estate developer from Maryland.
Matt Rosendale is a developer from Maryland.
You'll be hearing this a lot during the campaign. And yes, Rosendale is from Maryland, and he is a real estate developer. But he's also been a resident of Montana for some time. Rosendale bought a ranch near Glendive 16 years ago. He's been voting in Montana since then and served in the legislature for 6 years and won election as state insurance commissioner in 2016. He has turned former farmland into housing developments in Great Falls and Maryland, although shots in the one ad are not the actual land where it happened in Maryland. The real point of the ads, however, is to paint Rosendale as an enemy of public lands.
He pushed to transfer our public lands, knowing our state would have to sell them off, so developers like himself can buy them and cash in, while restricting our access to our public lands.
He has a history of choosing to develop lands and not protect them.
4 years ago, Rosendale was among those who supported transferring management of federal lands to the states, arguing it would mean more economic activity on those lands, such as logging and mining. He has since changed his position on the transfer, saying he realizes that most Montanans oppose the idea. As for whether the transfer would lead to the sale of public lands, that's an argument of the opponents, but it's still just a prediction and not something Rosendale has advocated. And the final accusation, that Rosendale has worked against protecting public lands. This claim is tied primarily to some of Rosendale's votes on the State Land Board, but there are other votes that Rosendale says show just the opposite. That's a subject we'll be taking a closer look at later in the campaign. Reporting from Helena, Mike Dennison, MTN News.
Thanks, Mike. Now, President Trump plans to speak in Great Falls Thursday afternoon. A large falling rock sent a woman climber to a Billings hospital in critical condition this weekend. On Saturday, Sweetgrass County Search and Rescue responded to an injured climber at the Natural Bridge. That's just south of Big Timber. The victim was struck by a large rock that fell from about 45 feet above her. The woman was initially treated on the trail, then stabilized in the parking lot and flown by helicopter to St. Vincent Healthcare. The woman suffered severe head, arm, and leg injuries and remains in critical condition tonight. A Helena area man sending a reminder across the state this holiday week and for the rest of the summer. If you hit the open highway, be alert for wildlife on the roadway. Duncan Adams tells MTN he was driving east on Highway 83 in the Swan Valley this weekend when a black bear suddenly emerged from the tall grass on the side of the road. As you can see, video from his dashboard camera captured the incident. The impact caused more than $3,500 damage to his vehicle, and the black bear was so badly injured it had to be euthanized. Montana Fish, Wildlife and Parks warned drivers to use caution and slow down in areas where wildlife is abundant.
One of the things, that happens this time of year is the grass along the road. Some of our more rural routes can get pretty tall, and so sometimes smaller animals can jump out of the grass, and surprise motorists.
Now, this was the third bear killed in a collision with a vehicle in a week here in Montana. Fish, Wildlife and Park says if you do hit an animal with your vehicle, you should report it to authorities. Another phase completed in the Montana Firefighter Memorial in Laurel. Take a look. Today, the committee spent the day installing the cornerstone, 3 granite slates that bear the names of Montana firefighters who've lost their lives while battling flames. The current and former firefighters, as well as legislators and community members, have been working for years to get the memorial built. So far, more than $80,000 has been put into the memorial, with plans for more additions down the road. A dedication ceremony is now being planned for September 8th. Meanwhile, volunteers are hard at work preparing for Laurel's huge annual 4th of July celebration. Independence Day festivities begin early Wednesday morning with the pancake breakfast and the Chief Joseph Run. The Kitty Parade starts at 10, followed by the Grand Parade at 11. Now, activities, entertainment, and food will be available throughout the day, and fireworks begin when the sun goes down. Well, downtown Billings is now home to a new vintage shopping destination. A local couple set out to transform an old Montana Avenue warehouse into a country mercantile. Q2's Jenny Fick takes us inside for a look.
So the center side of the building was built in 1914. The east side and the west side were additions, probably built in the late 1940s.
A building that was once the Carpenter Paper Mill, built in 1914, has a new lease on life.
When we saw this building, I fell in love with the brick, and my husband fell in love with the parking lot, and we knew that this was our spot to call home.
Liberty and Vine is a country mercantile store with retail on one side and antique vendors on the other.
With our antiques, we were looking for people who had an eye for design.
Pastel blues and pinks, it's very like 1950s, that, you know, brings you all the way back to Sandlot days.
The building is reminiscent of a different time, and so many items inside are too.
Because it's not things that, especially for my generation, that we get to see. Some of it has, you know, that worn down, rustic charm though, so it's lived.
The country store also features a market with fresh grocery items produced around the state.
We were looking for Montana vendors and local vendors because I'm a Montana girl.
When asked why they chose to create this space,
I love nostalgia. I think that things that we remember from when we were a kid make us feel special as an adult. You'll pick up something and you'll remember it, and it'll just make you feel like a kid again.
In Billings, Jenny Fick, MTN News.
Thanks, Jenny. Now, in the fall, Liberty and Vine hopes to hold farmers markets in the loading dock area of the business, where they can provide pumpkins, apples, and seasonal Montana produce. Now, the business is located at 2019 Montana Avenue. Coming up on tonight's 5:30 News, for many rodeo fans, the buck starts here at the Red Lodge Rodeo. We'll get a blast from the past next. And later in sports, the countdown is on for Montana's top 40 football players by position. Scott starts with defensive backs.
And coming up in weather, we got some showers to our west, and the farther east they move, the more severe they will get. We'll take a look at them on radar coming up in a few more minutes.
You're watching MTN News with Jay Cohn and Jeanelle Slade. Storm Tracker weather with Bob McGuire. And sports with Scott Green. This is the 5:30 News on Q2, Montana's news leader.